again. Here we go again on our own, like that old White Snake song I like to reference ever so often. I love me some White Snake, by the way. Very underrated band. It doesn't get a lot of the flair and the publicity that some of those 80s hair bands got. Y'all check White Snake out if you ever get a chance. All right. Woo! We got some big storylines coming up this week. We starting to get into the meat of the college football season. We're just going to start seeing some bigger matchups. First couple of weeks were a little blah. You had a few good matchups, but for the most part, not really. And then some of them that weren't supposed to be good matchups ended up being good matchups, like Georgia and Kentucky last week. But now we're getting into the meat of the schedule. We got big games this week. We got Oklahoma versus Tennessee, USC versus Michigan. Those two games right there are going to be a separator for some people. Oklahoma and Tennessee is a big matchup because it's Oklahoma's first SEC game ever. And ironically enough, it's against one of their own, and that being Josh Heupel. As you know, there's been a lot of talk about Josh Heupel in Oklahoma this week. One of my podcasts that I done the other day, actually got me some people to unsubscribe to me just because I posed a question that a lot of Oklahoma people posed to me. They were asking me or telling me, they weren't asking me, they were telling me that Josh Heupel was actually scapegoated by Bob Stoops. That wasn't me saying that. That was them saying that. So I went and looked up some articles on it. And sure enough, there is a narrative out there that Bob Stoops maybe in some way scapegoated Josh Heupel because he made Josh Heupel go from the air raid to the Johnny Manziel Reed offense. And after he did that, the Oklahoma success started going down somewhat, and Josh Heupel got fired. And basically, my whole thing was that Bob Stoops asked him to do that, then Bob Stoops should have went to bat for him. That was my only thing. I don't know why people got so pissed off and unsubscribed and wet their diapers and rashed up, but they did. Let's see who we got in here already. We got 1989 M's in the house. He's our resident Michigan fan of the defending national champion Michigan Wolverines, who haven't looked so defending here lately. They struggled against Arkansas State last week, as you know, and they got the USC Skittle Shitters this week in Ann Arbor. I hope y'all can right the ship. I heard that Michigan is going to start a new quarterback this week. That, to me, I think is a good sign for Michigan. You got to do something. You got to change something up. Something ain't working right. So what better way to change it up than to do it against Lincoln Riley and the Skittle Shitters? Maybe y'all can catch them off guard. Maybe y'all can pull the upset. I hope so. It would do my heart good to see Michigan beat USC in Ann Arbor this week. All righty. Who else we got up in here? We got Eric Taco Marino. He's here. He has his badge. Rye guy, 12-18s in the house. God, it felt good to get that old broken down pile, beat that old broken down pile of crap being Oregon Stank. They want me to start calling him Oregon Stank like I call them Ohio Stank, right? Killer Breeze in the house. He says unsubscribers are vulvas. Whatever vulvas is, that's a new one on me. Senator JH Travels is in the house. Parentheses, John. He has his badge. He's deputized as well. We got a lot of badges in the house, so it's gonna be a full posse tonight. It looks like already. 1989 M says, hello, brothers. I've been nagging the brainwashed Buffalo Con Time faithful today in the chats and the comments. Bunch of tards. Yes, they are. I got some notes on him, by the way, on old Con Time. We'll talk about him in just a second. Never liked his play calling, liked him as a player in person. Well, what I was trying to tell him, Tatted Sailors, it wasn't really his play calling. Bob Stoops made him change the offense. That's the whole thing, the whole issue I have with it, and the fact that you know, Josh got, to me, too much of the blame. That was my only point. It wasn't to piss anybody off or make people unsubscribe, man. I don't know why people got to be so damn weak. John Christophic's in the house. He said Pitt defeated West Virginia. Yes, they did. That was a nice little comeback by Pitt. Got to give them the kudos there. They were down by 10, and they come back and beat West Virginia. They still have yet to beat a ranked team yet, or a really good team, and that's probably why Pittsburgh is not ranked yet. I know you're going to go come around to saying that because you usually do, John. Pittsburgh just needs to just keep winning. That's all I can say, man. I hope eventually they do get ranked for your sake. They after this week, I'm not sure who Pitt plays. Who do y'all play this week? Y'all play any tough teams this week? That's the problem. See, the schedule for Pitt has done them no favors. Kuz was sad. Kuz is a West Virginia guy. If y'all know who Kuz is, he's got Kuz's Corners of West Virginia channels, Justin Walker. Yeah, he's pretty mad, man. He threw that bottle down like Brian Kelly throwing his fist down at the press conference. I was giving him hell about that. He looked pretty funny. But I'm going to go ahead and bring some stuff up for y'all real quick. Let's start with con time. Deion Sanders, since 1989, Ian brought it up. That stupid ass watch commercial off of there. Y'all see that? All right. Says Deion Sanders is favored to be the next head coach of a struggling major college football program. Here we go. Here comes that Stephen A. Smith bullshit. Landing a big name as Deion Sanders will be monumental for college football, looking for a spark. Really? Maybe. Back when he's at Jackson State, Athens. That spark is dulled a little bit, in my opinion. I don't get why people think that Deion Sanders would suddenly be a great coach if he got a promotion. He's already been shown that he got a promotion to Colorado and he can't do the job. Sanders is trying to guide the Colorado Buffaloes to the first winning season since 2020, while his first year, 4-8, didn't go according to plan. It marked a significant process where a team went 1-11. Knew they were going to say that. I mean, you can't do much worse than 1-11 unless you go 0-12. So I think they're giving them way too much kudos there. Colorado's 2-1 after 3 weeks. Woohoo! They beat North Dakota State and Colorado State. Woo! Wow, but they lost to the only decent team they played, Nebraska, and they lost by 18, and it should have probably been 38 because Nebraska took their foot off the gas and allowed con time and his son, Sakazulu Sanders, who, by the way, left the field 2 minutes early. And then this past week against Colorado State, he showed his ass on the field and basically was being unsportsmanlike and being a damn bully and a douchebag or a douche nozzle to the Colorado State quarterback. I'm just saying, man, that's a reflection on you, con time. You raised him, right? You're supposed to have raised these boys right? You claim you did. Don't look like you did, man. They don't have no humility whatsoever. It says this is where ACC's Florida State Seminoles come into the picture. Despite going undefeated in the regular season and winning the ACC championship, they were left out of the 14 playoff and end the year with a blowout loss to Georgia in the Orange Bowl. This season, they are a disappointing 0-3, despite high expectations, and they're probably going to go 0-4 because California is coming to town and California is undefeated. So they may actually go 0-4. The brutal start to the season sparked widespread speculation regarding a possible replacement for Seminoles head coach. People they want to change coaches too quick. Although we'll give Mike Norvell has come across as a big old crybaby. According to Bet Online Sportsbook, the betting favorite is none other than Sanders, who has a money line of -300, despite the Buffalo's lackluster performance in the standings. Sanders' appeal is undeniable. What appeal is that? Teaching people to be unsportsmanlike and being jackasses and calling their agent and showing off the bling bling at halftime of the Stanford game where they're up 29-0 and blew the shit. If Florida State or Florida or any of these teams that are supposedly considered better programs than Colorado hire Deion Sanders as their head coach, y'all going to get exactly what Colorado's getting right now. You might get a few more wins at first, because your record sucked so bad when you got there. But overall, big picture, this guy is not the answer for any program. I saw a show the other day where it said players that end up being coaches, the position of cornerback is the worst as far as coaching goes. And Deion, as you know, is a cornerback in the NFL and in college. So it's just crazy, man. Here's some of the odds to replace Mike Norvell. And they should be talking about, what's his name? Billy Napier at Florida is who they should be talking about. Matt Rule's minus 400, Lane Kiffin's minus 600, Pat Surtain Sr. Really? Jamie Chadwell minus 1,000. Jamie Chadwell should be higher than Pat Surtain Sr. Really? But, yeah, I just thought y'all would find that somewhat interesting that they continue to push con time to be what? I don't understand it, man. He hasn't done shit, man. He hasn't won anything. Even at Jackson State, he could not win a Celebration Bowl. He went to the Celebration Bowl, which is the equivalent of the HBCU National Championship, and both times he shit the bed against much inferior competition. Matter of fact, the last team they played in the Celebration Bowl was South Carolina State. South Carolina State was 7-5 coming that game, and Deion's team was like 12-0 or 11-1 or some shit. Heavy favorites. And not only did they get beat, they got beat down. They got beat down just like they did against Nebraska. Mary Caroline's in the house, says she had a rough day at work. I needed this live tonight. Well, I'm glad to help you there, honey. You tell me what you want me to talk about, Mary, and I'll talk about it right now. Give me the topic right now. I got some topics lined up. But if you want to name the topic, and I'll talk about it. Anybody in here. Y'all can push the conversation all night long if y'all want to. Sweet Caroline. Dun, 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 as Killer Breeze says. Turd Ferguson's in the house. Probably has the best name in YouTube screen names. Turd Ferguson. Wouldn't be a long turd, would you? From Texas. You know, the Texas long turds. 1-12 for Colorado. That's not possible since they are 2-1. They have won 2 games now. Fred Bagley's in the house. He has his badge. He's deputized as well. I've said it before. Deion will always do or say what's best for Deion. Yeah, and his minion-ass sons that he got running around. Sakazulu Sanders may not make it through the season. Colorado State was a bad team. Colorado State got blew out by Texas 52-0. Deion beats them 28-9. They're a G5 school. They've beaten a G5 school and an FCS school. The one Power 4 team they played, Nebraska, they weren't even close. That game was never in doubt to me, ever. Any news on them yet on the OU injury report? I haven't seen an injury report yet. We got a few Sooners in here that might be able to help us with that. We might have Killer Breeze on later on in the show, as well as possibly Johnny Johns. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and invite some people in here in just a second. But first, I want to bring up something else real quick. It's a sweet little tidbit that I want to discuss that you guys might find interesting too. Since you're now in the SEC, you have to take up for the SEC, Oklahoma, Texas. Let's see what we got here. All right, here we go. There it is. Ole Miss coach Lane Kiffin says Wake Forest violated an unwritten rule by buying its way out of next year's matchup, leaving the Rebels in search of another major conference opponent that was supposed to be played in Oxford next year. Ole Miss went to Winston-Salem, North Carolina this past weekend, and they basically beat the shit out of Wake Forest 40-6 in front of everybody in North Carolina. I think Wake Forest maybe felt like that Mississippi run up to score on them, but they did. 40-6 is nothing compared to what Alabama and Tennessee and other teams have done to opponents this year. The 5th-ranked Rebels beat the Deacons 40-6 on Saturday, as I said, as part of a scheduled home-and-home series. There won't be a rematch next season in Oxford. A person with knowledge of the decision confirmed that Wake Forest had canceled next year's trip to Ole Miss and said the school is closing in on alternative scheduling options. Kiffin broke the news about the decision in his post-game news conference and is still unhappy about the timing 2 days later. He says, "That's rarely ever done," said Kiffin. "I've never really heard of doing it, and it really puts us at a big disadvantage. It obviously wasn't appreciated very much, them putting us in this situation." And the reason why I brought this up, before I get to some of the major topics that we're going to talk about tonight, is the fact that all these people outside the SEC run their mouth all the time about, hey, y'all won't schedule home and homes with our conference teams, like the ACC and the Big Ten, the Big 12. The Pac-12 don't exist anymore. They can go out and add a bunch of Mountain West conferences, teams like they're trying to do right now. They're still not getting their Power 5, excuse me. They're not going back to a Power 5. It's going to be a Power 4 from now on out, more than likely. All that's going to happen with the Pac-12 is if they get back to 10 or 12 teams, is they're going to become the new G6. It won't be a G5 and won't be a G6, because you can't just bring a bunch of middling programs up and expect to get your golden ticket back. This ain't Willy Wonka. So, yeah. Wake Forest canceled that game, in my opinion, because Ole Miss went into Winston-Salem in their home field and embarrassed them in front of everybody. So now they cancel the game by the way out of it. So now Ole Miss is struggling to find an opponent. What they'll end up having to do is probably schedule a G5 school and an FCS school to replace them, and then everybody will be bitching and complaining about the SEC having cupcakes on their schedule. With shit like this, people canceling and backing out of games that make it the way it is. We ain't got no choice but to schedule G5 and FCS schools, because at least they'll show up and not be scared like Wake Forest. And just hit more recently, West Virginia backed out on Alabama because we want to play Pitt. Oh, they're our natural rival. Okay, whatever. Yeah, they're your natural rival, and y'all really love that rivalry, and y'all care about it. West Virginia and Pitt people do, but outside of West Virginia and Pittsburgh, nobody gives a shit about the backyard brawl. Not trying to be an asshole, but bluntly speaking, you're going to drop Alabama for Pitt. And you always complain about you want national relevance for your conference, but you get a chance to do a more regional, a more national, not just regional, but a more national matchup with Alabama. I mean, it's not really that much further away, but it is in an entirely different conference, and one of the toughest conferences in America. You got a chance to be on the big stage, West Virginia, and you back out because we want to play Pitt. Really? Well, Pitt's going to own y'all's ass because they really own y'all's ass anyway. Pitt's just doing y'all a favor by scheduling y'all, to be honest with you. So, just saying, y'all keep backing out of these matchups, man, and then try to blame it on us and say we play all these cupcakes. The SEC plays cupcakes in November. Well, it's because y'all want to back out of shit all the time, you know? 1989 M's in the house. He says, Sooner Nation, it's time to beat the Voltards, baby. Storm 4601's in the house. Ain't seen you in a while, brother. It's good to see you again. He's got his badge. He's deputized as well. You see all these people with the badges in here? If you want to get your badge and get deputized and be a possible random Four Horsemen shout out on the actual podcast and possibly be the comment of the day, all you got to do is hit that join button next to the subscribe button. It's not $2.99 a month. It's just 75 cents a week. That's just a half a bottle of water for the outlaw. And you'll get your badge. You'll be deputized. And you'll be in the outlaw posse. And you'll get all those great perks. And I got a few ideas about some other stuff coming down the line there. But you can also like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Those are the big four, and they're all free. As a matter of fact, if y'all don't mind, jump out of the chat just for 5 seconds. Smash the like button. And it'll push this live stream out to more people, and with the algorithm, and get this party bigger. Fred Bagley, Anderson, Anthony, Everett, and Hickman, Gentry, and Washington, McCullough, and the other cheetah guy are all playing. So it looks like a lot of people have healed up for the Oklahoma Sooners. Didn't know Tebow tried to do that this past year against LSU. Yes, there's another good point about these other conferences scheduling games with the SEC and then backing out. USC tried to back out of playing LSU, but LSU made them play. But the USC was successful in backing out of playing Ole Miss. So that's the second time that these people outside the SEC have been punked out by Ole Miss, a team that's never won the SEC since they went to a SEC championship game. Ole Miss is one of the few teams that's never been the SEC title game, and y'all can't even show up to play Ole Miss in a home and home. You're gonna get your jollies and have them come up there to North Carolina and get your ass whooped 40-6, and then you're gonna cancel out. The hell kind of shit is that, Wake Forest, USC, West Virginia? Stop complaining and stop whining about, oh, the SEC gets preferential treatment. ESPN and them are just pushing the SEC. Well, they're pushing the SEC because the SEC is the best product out there right now. That's just the bottom line. That ain't me bragging. That ain't me trying to troll or talk smack. That shit is a fact. So, all right. One more. Show y'all one more thing before we get to this other stuff here. It wasn't enough that Sakazulu Sanders showed his ass after the game against Colorado State. Now, he's said to have the Kardashian curse for Sakazulu Sanders. There he is. Looks like a black carrot top, man. Look at his hair, man. It looks like black carrot top. Here we go. The so-called Kardashian curse. This is popular but unproven superstition suggests that men romantically linked to the Kardashian and Jenner family experienced bad luck, especially in their careers, while Sanders and Jenner only exchanged a hug. The interaction was enough to fuel widespread trolling, with fans humorously speculating that Sanders' performance and by extension the Buffalo's success could be jeopardized. One fan even joked that Jenner was scouting for the Kardashian family, a narrative that quickly caught on among the social media circles. The timing of the encounter, with the Buffs set to face the Baylor Bears to open Big 12 play, added a layer of anxiety among fans who are already highly invested in the team's success. So, now Deion Sanders and his son are all bandied up with the Kardashians and the Jenners. Wow, that's a really good look, Deion. Thought you was a man of God. Man, come on. Y'all get off Deion, man. And don't get off of him. Stay on his ass, grill him. But the people that are taking up for him, they need to get off that shit, man. It's pretty obvious what's going on here, to me. The guy's just using Colorado to coach his sons, and then he's going to dip. Now, he might surprise me and stay another year, but if he does, he's just going to continue losing. So, I don't know what to tell y'all. Chris Lieberman's in the house. He says, I would like the Sooner fans to get a lot louder. When the defense is playing, they need to do anything they can to make it loud, scream, stomp, or anything they can. All righty then. So I'm going to go ahead and invite some people up in here real quick. I'm going to Gmail a few folks since I done had my rant for a while. All right, I just sent some invites out. Some people might have some people on here. Do y'all prefer me to have guests on here and talk with me, or do you prefer me just doing this by myself? That's another thing I need to ask y'all. Y'all can be honest. We're all grown men in here, grown women. You prefer me doing this by myself, or you like me to have a guest? Let me know. Brad Friends in the house. Outlaw of College Football is a great show. Jesse is right on, and this is from a Sooner fan. Push this man's podcast and share it. I appreciate the hell out of that, Brad. Brad is, I think you're, what's your screen name on Twitter? Ain't it Braden something? Anyway, you can drop your Twitter down there if you want people to maybe connect with you on Twitter, Brad. Brad's a big, huge supporter of the program, too. Might even be able to help us with a sponsor. Mary Caroline says, I can see the Kardashians and the Sanders brothers possibly getting together. They are each other's types. Right. Just attention whores. Right. That's basically what they are. Yeah, that's it. Brad friend is Braden Shawnee on Twitter. So y'all check him out. Add him on Twitter. Holler at him. They'll get together, party with him. Y'all might be closer since a bunch of y'all Oklahoma fans in here. Fred Bagley says both. He likes to have both on. By the way, I sent you an invite, Killer Breeze and Johnny Johns, if y'all want to be on the show. Both. Just include the chat more in it with the conversations, answer questions. I'm just saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes when I have a guest on here, I don't interact with the chat as much. And I don't know if y'all like that or don't like that. So that's why I was asking. Let's call Johnny Johns up real quick, see if he's going to come in tonight too. Johnny Johns. Killer Breeze in the house.
What's happening, JPC?
Nothing much, man. Got anything you really want to talk about before I get started on the other shit? Anything you want, any thoughts you want to give on anything? It doesn't matter what it is.
Well, it's probably Oklahoma specific, but I think tomorrow's a pretty big measuring stick for the Sooners. And if you say you're not a little nervous, I think that's got to be somewhat of a fib. But I'm also pretty excited because we're getting a lot of injured players back. So I'm just hoping the game lives up to the hype, man. Pretty big day, though.
Someone was asking for an injury report. I'm not real sure who's injured. Is there anybody going to miss the Oklahoma-Tennessee game this week?
The official injury report hasn't come out yet, but the rumor is that we're getting back a lot of players. A couple of players on the O-line, a starting receiver. It's a couple of defensive players as well. So it should make a pretty big difference. I'm kind of curious to see. Although Tennessee's got what most people consider to be the best front in the game, the defensive front in the game. So we need all the help we can get on the offensive line. These players can't come back fast enough, but it sounds like Saturday might be the day. Yeah,
you'd be surprised at what a few offensive linemen missing can do to you. Alabama struggled against South Florida. We got our offensive line back against Wisconsin, and you see what happened.
Right. Yeah, and one of the players we're getting back is a center. So you know how important that position is. Man, I'm excited to see those guys back.
I'm gonna try to pull something up real quick, a clip from the Matt Berry show with Paul Feinbaum. I'm gonna get y'all's take on this real quick.
Is this Feinbaum getting in Stephen A's butt for defending Deion?
No, I ain't got that one. Did that happen again?
Yeah, I think so.
Now this is I just found this crazy what Matt Berry's about to say. I was gonna get y'all's take on it. Can you see it?
I can see it.
All right.
Let me throw something completely asinine at you because it's the YouTube show. Why not? Let's break this down. Because you're right. If and when you get rid of Napier, because you realize that probably wasn't the best hire. Why don't you call your old buddy Urban Meyer, who's doing TV, and say, hey, for this season, we need you to come in and act as an emeritus head coach to stabilize the program, get us through the season, lead the team. Nothing's expected after the final game of the year against Florida State. And thank you for your service. A la Bob Stoops, what he had to do at Oklahoma when Lincoln Riley bailed. Do you go to Herb and say, hey, man, need you for a few months? What do you think?
Well, I mean, we know there were a lot of bad feelings. I don't think those feelings are still there. It's been a long time. And one thing you can't deny about Urban Meyer is he came within a paperclip of winning 3 national championships in 4 years there. And that's all that matters. I mean, I was with Steve Spurrier on Friday afternoon, and he was trying to defend Napier, although even Spurrier was running out of gas. And he said, well, if we could just have a winning record. And I said, Coach, you just got through saying that. I remember in 2001, you were undefeated. You lost to Tennessee at home. It was the 9/11 year, and the game was in the normal first the SEC championship game weekend. You lost by 3 points. You won a bowl. You won the Orange Bowl and finished number 3 in the country. And you quit because fans were unhappy about the season, and you went to the NFL. I mean, that's how things used to be. Urban didn't win in 2009. It was like the world had come to an end when he.
But anyway, that was that clip, man. I just caught me off guard when they was talking about bringing Urban Meyer back in the middle of the season to be an interim coach. And then they go on in that show to get a little more crazier with it and start talking about Nick Saban coming in as an interim coach. I mean, it's crazy, man. Why would you want to bring Urban Meyer back with all the baggage and all the shit that we know about Urban Meyer now?
Well, man, especially the way he flamed out in Jacksonville, you think they would really do that? You think they would really? I don't think they would do that.
It's just crazy.
I just can't see that happening, and I don't know that it would be a good thing or not. Like I think that guy has just, they bring up Bob Stoops, what Bob Stoops did for Oklahoma, but Bob Stoops is a selfless guy. He did that for the better, to help the university. I think Urban Meyer would be doing something like that to help himself as much as anyone else, or if anyone else. So I don't think that's a good idea, whether he would do it or not.
You got Johnny Johns in the house. I don't know if you heard us what we was talking about, but basically Matt Berry and Paul Feinbaum were saying that Florida should bring Urban Meyer in as an interim coach on a temporary basis to take over for Florida until the end of the season. I just thought that was crazy.
Man, I guess at this point you'll try whatever, right? I mean,
well, I mean, clearly the Billy Napier experiment has gone south real quick,
right.
And it sounds like that it's just inevitable at this point. So they got to do something. But bringing Urban back, man, that just seems desperate.
And earlier in the show, I also brought up the fact that Athens and a bunch of people keep pushing this narrative. Stephen A. Smith, they keep saying, if Deion Sanders had a better job than Colorado, he'd be great. He'd have better recruitment. But he don't recruit. So it don't matter what
how are you going to do that?
Recruit, man. I mean, Athens is talking about him being at Florida State. And I'm like, man, y'all done lost your damn mind, man.
How are you going to do better at any other place when one of the biggest problems, and it's not the only problem, and it's not the only big problem, but it's a big problem, is that he won't recruit. He won't. Right. Apparently, he thinks he's too high profile to be going out into regular people's homes, which is about par for the course, considering him being as self-absorbed as he is. But I mean, man, he's not going to recruit. On top of that, I'm not convinced he's a great game day coach, X's and O's coach. I think he thinks that everybody should be in such awe of him and that everything he says should just, because he just speaks in platitudes, everything that he says should just be motivation enough for people to just play great. And I don't think he had any clue what kind of work he really needed to put in, and I don't think he's putting it in. So he ain't going to change in Ohio State.
Yeah, and if Nick Saban isn't too big to recruit, like in-home,
it's ridiculous.
He damn sure ain't. Right. Like, even Nick Saban made in-home visits. So
that's my point, man.
Right.
You know, he's but man, he's a diva. And so are his kids. I mean, his son left the game with time on the clock. He's already walking to the locker room. And then when he gets in the locker room and he speaks to the media, he's throwing his offensive line under the bus. It's just like, I don't understand how they're playing together, like how they can be cohesive unit and how the offensive line still wants to block for him considering how he acts.
Well, they beat a G5 school that got beat 52-0 by Texas. And then they beat North Dakota State, it was an FCS school. And the one Power 4 team they played, they got the hell beat out of them. So, I don't understand why they're all back on his train again, man. I hope Baylor just beats the shit out of them, man.
Well, the sad thing is I'm not too sure. Baylor's been a little rough this year.
Yeah, I know, right?
Starting off. So I don't know whether that happens or not. But
they are 2-1, but
yeah. It's been an ugly 2-1.
It has been.
And but I am firmly convinced that Deion is a shitty coach and Colorado is not a good team. So Baylor it should be better than that.
Yeah, I would take Baylor on my parlay ticket. That's for sure.
That's right. That's right.
Trying to bring something up for y'all.
Right.
It's basically about, I run into some problems this week. I made some comments, about there's rumors out there that Josh Heupel was sort of railroaded out by Bob Stoops. And it wasn't me. It was an Oklahoma beat writer, John Hoover, and from the Tulsa World. And then there were some Oklahoma fans talking about it in the comment section. So I thought I'd do a video on it. Obviously, that was a bad idea because I got some unsubscribers because of that, because they thought I was trashing Bob Stoops, but I really wasn't. They asked Brent Venables about Josh Heupel, and he said that he was a model of consistency. He's the same guy every single day. He can be friends with anybody, not have to try. It's really easy. People wanted to follow him. He's not a rah-rah guy. He's a guy with great poise. The moment was never too big for Josh. So just great composure and a poised leader and competitor. And that's That's Brent Venables saying that. So, what's y'all's take on that? I mean, the whole Josh Heupel been asked to grind with Oklahoma.
I've got something to say about it, and this person here is saying include the chat more in the conversation. Hey, I definitely will. If I see anything on there, I'll try to get their attention and get you guys more involved and all that. But when it comes to the Josh Heupel deal, I love Josh Heupel. He was my hero growing up, and he's the guy I thought would end up being the head coach at Oklahoma. I remember I bought his Miami Dolphins jersey. I ordered it, and I thought he'd end up being one of those late round guys that kind of like I just watched Tom Brady in 2001 be a late round guy, win a Super Bowl, and he was kind of overlooked. I really was convinced my guy Josh Heupel was going to do that. Josh Heupel's the reason why I love Oklahoma football. But he got fired because he got smoked against Clemson. Brent Venables shut him down. We got beat 40-6. And that was kind of the nail in the coffin. Now, he had a lot of injuries going, in that season. We had lost a lot. It's kind of similar to what we've had the first 3 games of this season. We had a lot of injuries, and Josh Heupel, I think he still averaged 34 points a game. But the nail in the coffin, I think, was when he went and we got beat bad. I mean, Brent Venables shut him down. Now, I understand people are going to come back and say, well, he's a much better coach now than he was then. And I'm sure he is. But that offense, he had some bad games, and the end of the year got worse. But it ain't like they're trying to paint this narrative like we firing him and we think he ain't a good coach. That's not true at all. Oklahoma fans love him. Like we love Josh Heupel down here, and I don't think anybody. I would have loved to have seen him have one more year, and I think what happened is it come down to he either had to fire Mike or he had to fire Josh, and what do? You fire your brother or you fire your former quarterback, and they scored 6 points in a bowl game against Clemson. On top of the fact that blood's thicker than water, I think it was just just a deal that sucks. And
Mike was on the defensive side of the ball, though. It was totally different for him.
I know, but they got 40 points scored on them. You know,
yeah, I would have fired.
They got beat by Clemson 2 years in a row, man.
I would have fired Mike Stoops if I was going to fire Josh Heupel. Was my point.
I would have too. But man, at the end of the day, Josh Heupel, man, he was a very cerebral quarterback. He had full carte blanche to check at the line, which back then wasn't happening nearly as much as it does now. And 9 times out of 10 he was making the right call. So I love Josh Heupel. I mean, he was a great quarterback, and just like Johnny said, I thought he was going to be the next coach, who's going to be a coach at Oklahoma one day. I thought for sure that was going to happen. Whatever happened, at the end of the day, I think the reality is it benefited Josh Heupel to leave. It sucks the way that it happened, but it was the best thing for his career. I don't think he is as good of a coach as he is today if he never leaves Oklahoma, which wouldn't have been great for him or us. So Bob probably could have handled some things better. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But at the end of the day, I think what needed to happen happened. I think the bigger mistake that Bob made was retiring and handing the keys over to Lincoln Riley.
Well, the reason why a lot of people think he was scapegoated is because when Josh came in, he was an air raid guy. Well, Oklahoma got beat by Texas A&M in the Cotton Bowl by Johnny Manziel, and Bob suddenly decided he wanted to run a Manziel-Reed type offense, and Josh had never run that kind of offense before.
That's right.
And he sort of forced Josh to do that, and then after Josh did that, then he ends up getting all the blame and gets fired is what people are trying to say, that Josh got, laid down on the sword for Bob Stoops, and that's what got me in trouble on my podcast.
Wow. People are just way too sensitive. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what happened. Keep in mind, he was an air raid guy. Keep in mind, his first offensive coordinator at Oklahoma was Mike Leach. Right. So I mean, his foundation of what he learned coming to Oklahoma starts with the Pirate, man. So
he fired Josh Heupel and brought in a guy, Lincoln Riley, that run the air raid offense.
Air raid, that's right.
That's why they said Josh Heupel felt a little slighted.
Yeah. Right. No, I mean, listen, I'm sure he did. I mean, how could he not? The coach they won the last national championship we have. They won it together. They were both, extremely popular, new faces at Oklahoma for the most part. And it ended badly. It sucks, but I think what happened has been best for all parties involved at the end of the day.
It really did work out good for him, didn't it?
It did. I mean, man, he's that's kind of one of these things like tomorrow, I keep thinking tomorrow's Saturday. On Saturday, if we end up losing to Tennessee and Tennessee ends up looking real good, like, I'm not going to lie. There's part of me that's I'll be happy for Josh because I want him to be a legit coach, and he needs, if that's going to happen, he's going to have to win a championship, which means he's got to be better than OU sometime for that to happen. And so there will be somewhat of a silver lining, or at least some good I can take from it if we end up losing. But I'm really curious to see. I mean, Johnny, what do you think with the guys we got coming back from injury? What do you how do you feel about the game now?
So, okay, about the game, I feel better about it than I did last week or 2 weeks ago. But when it comes to Josh and like Bob firing him and getting rid of him and all that, right now it looks like from like Tennessee fans, and they're talking a lot of trash on social media. Y'all fired Josh. He wasn't good enough, and look at him now. And how do you like me now? And they're singing the Toby Keith song. And but the real truth is, if you look at it, it does look that way kind of now. But if you look at it, what happened after we fired him? We got beat by Clemson 40-6, got smoked, and we brought in Lincoln, and right away, boom, we're in the college football playoff. We win 6 conference championships in a row. All of a sudden, I mean, nobody was complaining about Bob. Nobody was calling Bob Stoops an idiot. I love Josh, dude. I hate it that it went down that way. But nobody was calling Bob Stoops an idiot for firing Josh when we were winning the Big 12 championship 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And the only thing that did make it look like a bad move is the fact that Lincoln dipped out on us, and I don't think Josh would have.
But he also ruined the program, dude. He absolutely killed the culture. He screwed the roster up to where it was skill position heavy and only on the offense. I mean, look at what we're doing. We've been rebuilding for fucking 3 years now.
Right.
You know, that's where we were at. He had OU in a rebuilding phase, for God's sake.
Right. I know.
That guy.
But you see what I mean, where that's where it's at right now. But, 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, and even all the way to 21, it didn't seem that way.
No, I got you.
Little did we know Lincoln was going to end up milking this program until he could get another school that would overpay for him. And I know Lincoln is a quarterback whisperer and all that, but USC got him because they were willing to overpay for him. I remember Eric Bassey put out a post, and me and him have been kind of cool with each other because we've dealt with some stuff like addiction stuff in the past and overcame it and whatnot. And I remember Eric was saying, dude, the rumor I'm hearing, Johnny, is that Lincoln has been offered a job and OU is not matching what they're offering. And we thought it was LSU was the school we thought it was, and ended up being USC that was offering him. But, yeah, after all that happened, then all of a sudden I feel like Josh Heupel got the last laugh on the deal, and then now his team has been blowing out, Chattanooga, and they blew out
Kent State.
Kent State and NC State. Now, NC State, that quarterback threw 2 picks against NC State. And I kind of feel like, man, if he was able to throw a couple. Now, I know one of them was like a bad throw. One of them was just kind of unfortunate luck. But I kind of, on one hand, dude, if I had to bet my money on it, I understand why people are picking Tennessee. I get it. And I was just in a conversation before this video with my friends. One of them wants to take OU, and one of them wants to take Tennessee, and we were trying to get a bet in, and I wanted to put $100 on Tennessee, and if I lose the money, I will gladly pay the $100 to see OU win this game. But the kind of luck I have is with the 7-point spread, we'll end up losing it by 2, and then I lose the money, and we lose the game.
Right.
So. But I'll be honest with you, I do think people are kind of sleeping on Oklahoma. We're getting Hickman back, we're getting Everett back, and we've got Anderson coming back. And I really believe that I haven't heard anybody mention anything about why Josh Heupel lost his job. He got smoked by Brent Venables. I haven't heard nobody.
He had a few bad. He had a couple of bad losses.
He did.
If Bob never forces him to go to the Johnny Manziel offense and he keeps the air raid offense, would have Josh had kept his job? Because Josh was more comfortable coaching the air raid offense. And like I said, the problem I had with it was Bob Stoops forcing him to go to the Manziel read offense, and then sort of Josh Heupel took all the blame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that, and that's the story that I hear now. Revisionist history, but the story I heard back then is that Josh Heupel and Bob Stoops was in love, had a man crush on Johnny Manziel. Like I don't think it was just Josh saying, "Okay, Daddy, we'll do what you want, Bob." I really think they both kind of was in on this. I think they both agreed on it, but I mean, and who knows? Maybe I'm wrong on that. I mean, none of us will really truly know unless we were in the room with them. But I mean,
Well, the only reason I brought it up is because people were talking about it in the comments.
right? No, I get it. Yeah,
And
yeah,
Bob
absolutely.
Hoover, who is a Tulsa World beat writer for Oklahoma, was saying the
Right.
shit. So I'm like, damn, there might
Right.
be some legitimacy to this. So I'm gonna make a video on it.
No, I get it. I've heard it too, and I know that like that's what I've seen Tennessee fans and some OU fans saying it. But it's like Johnny Manziel was a big deal at that point in time. And another argument that I've made for Josh is, man, I would have loved to have seen Josh Heupel with Baker Mayfield as his quarterback. What would he have done with Baker? You know, because he got fired right before Baker was eligible, and Baker was actually on the team with him that entire 2014 season, but he wasn't eligible to play. So, and I love Josh Heupel. I'm kind of caught between defending my own team that I love and then defending Josh Heupel, that was my hero, literally my hero growing up. But I hope it's a good game, and honestly, dude, I hope we end up shocking everybody just like we did against Texas. But I know it's going to take a lot. We're going to need to get some pressure on that Nico, and we're going to need to get a few turnovers, especially if we could get a couple turnovers early and get that crowd. Just that crowd will be going nuts if we could get a couple turnovers early and just get, maybe jump out to an early lead on them. That would be freaking awesome.
Tennessee to me hasn't really been tested. NC State was ranked 24th at the time, but come on, man, they try to act like NC State was playoff contenders. I'm not buying that. And
they're not even close.
Yeah, I don't think they're playoff contention for NC State. And this is a road game at Oklahoma, and it's just going to be entirely different. Nico's a very young quarterback, and he hasn't experienced this yet.
So the injury report is out, or the availability report is out. They've got Nick Anderson, Andrell Anthony, Kendall Dolby, and Troy Everett listed as probable. Nice. Branson Hickman, Jake Taylor, Cade McIntyre are questionable. Deshaun McCullough is doubtful, and Gentry is out. It's interesting because I'd heard all those people were likely coming back. So it's quite different than what I'd heard. But Troy Everett's the center. So if that's where they're going to play Troy, that's a huge help. Kendall Dolby was a starter at Cheetah. Nick Anderson is our best wide receiver right now. And Andrell Anthony used to be our best wide receiver until he blew his knee out last year. He's just coming back. So they're key players. Man, if Branson Hickman could play, but with them listed as questionable, I don't know. Maybe, though. If Branson Hickman can play, they can put Branson at center and slide Troy over. I guess Troy would play guard.
Yeah, that'd be my guess.
And but Kendall is, starting Cheetah, so that's huge having him back as well. So that should make a difference. That should make a big difference. Although Omasigo played pretty good at Cheetah last week. Not perfect, or certainly made some mistakes, but played pretty well overall.
Well, before I move on to any other games, I just want to go ahead and get y'all's prediction on the Tennessee game, the Oklahoma-Tennessee game. What do y'all think is going to happen?
Man, I'm so torn, man. I mean, listen, I know that on paper, Tennessee should win, but they're playing on the road, and I'm gonna go with Oklahoma in a close one, 38-35.
I'm going 31-28. That's a score I've had in my head for 30 seconds, so that's pretty cool. He's pretty similar to it.
And that's if you think about it, Tennessee is supposed to have the best defensive front in the country. Oklahoma's supposed to have. This is going to tell us, do we really have one of the best defenses in the SEC or not? I mean, that's what we've been hearing. We've had some SEC players of the week on defense already this year, but it's been against subpar competition for the most part. So, that's why Saturday is going to tell us a lot. Even if we lose, as long as we just don't look like trash, man. We got to be competitive. If we're not competitive, I'm going to be real disappointed.
If y'all can get this game into the fourth quarter and it's close like it was against Texas at the end there, Texas had a lot more to lose in that game than y'all did, and they tightened up a little bit and they blew it. Tennessee's got all the pressure on them right now. They're up in the top 5, top 6. Oklahoma got nothing to lose. If this game goes into the fourth quarter and it's 2 or 3 minutes left to go, I'm not sure that Tennessee won't buckle. And if they can keep it close into the fourth quarter, I think Oklahoma can win the game.
Well, they are after all still Tennessee. I mean, it's not like we're talking about playing Alabama in 2012. They've got to prove it too. So I agree with JPC. I think all of the pressure is on Tennessee if Oklahoma, gets it straight. And man, the great thing is if they can play well, if they can somehow, if all these returning starters coming back, makes the impact that it can make, and they can play well and win the game, man, just think about how different the going into the next few games of the season will be, as opposed to if we lose, and particularly lose in bad fashion. I think that sets us off on a potentially long, painful, ugly season.
Right. This guy says Bob took up too much for his bro Mike also, and yeah, I agree with that. Blood's thicker than water. Time. We figured out which one he should have got rid of over time, but we need our offense to get us.
Yeah, man, it's
Eco Jar says y'all need to just get your offense in field goal range and you'll be all right.
Oh God, no.
If the defense can play that well, if I don't know if we're going to win one of them 13-2 games, but not against this Tennessee team.
I want to see.
Brad Friend says Keltner kicks a last-minute field goal. OU 31, Tennessee 28.
Well,
that's the score I picked.
That's what Johnny picked. Serendipity, man.
Yeah, but you didn't tell us who you took, Tennessee or Oklahoma.
No, Oklahoma. Now, I could even see it being 34-31, but I could see us being just a wild
the Texas
game.
Score was similar to that. Texas was 34-30, right?
It damn sure was, actually. Yeah, it was. So, yeah, I'm going to go 34-30. That's my final answer.
Well,
put a Longhorn ass whipping on them.
Yeah.
If Nick Anderson can come back and start, that think about the difference that makes now all of a sudden in the wide receiver room, because now all these double teams that Deion Burks has been taking, that goes away to some degree. Or if you want to keep doing that, then Nick Anderson should have a field day if he's anywhere close to, being at game speed. So that offense all of a sudden could come to life, and if the passing game can pick up a little bit, that'll only help the running game as well. So,
Travis Taylor says something about y'all's field that I wasn't aware of. He said not to mention the fans are on top of the field. Is y'all's fans pretty close to the field?
Yes.
Yes.
That's actually a great advantage, even when the stadiums don't hold 100,000. Sort of like Oregon in a way. Oregon's got that same effect.
Yeah, man. It's look, when you look at Oklahoma Stadium on TV compared to places like Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge or the Big House up in Ohio State and Michigan, it doesn't look that big because it's not. But I've been to plenty of games in Oklahoma, particularly after the Bob Stoops came and it started changing for the better, and it gets plenty loud enough, man. So,
Ryan Kirk brings up a good point that a few people actually brought up to me earlier. It says if we stuff the run, it'll be a low-scoring game. A lot of people are concentrated on Nico, but actually Tennessee's running game is what's really been putting the points up for him, from what I understand.
That's right.
So it may not be Nico you need to stop. If you could just stop the run and make this young quarterback have to win this game with his arm, it might put him in some bad situations to where, like you had said earlier, have a few turnovers early. It could turn this thing around real quick.
Absolutely, man. And Oklahoma's been getting multiple turnovers every game this season so far.
We've been really good at stopping the run too, man.
That's our strength. I mean, that's the best. That's the thing we do best is stopping the run. So, hopefully we can continue to play well on the line. And if we can stop the run, then we should be off to a good start.
He wants to know if you can show us how. Is that the correct way? Turn it upside down and get it right there. Right?
Horns down.
His horns up right here.
That's great, man.
So Jesse, what other big games do we have this weekend? I haven't even looked at the overall.
I brought it up. Let me bring it back up again.
This guy says our secondary is going to eat this newbie QB alive. Yeah, I hope so, dude. I know NC State they were propping them up to be this big matchup against Tennessee, and yeah, their quarterback threw 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Imagine what OU's defense is going to do. Imagine what R. Mason Thomas is licking his chops, dude. I guarantee you. And I understand Josh Heupel's offense it's a difficult offense to stop because they have a lot of option routes, a lot of routes where if you line up here, we're going here. If you line up here, we're going there. But the best way to stop that is, and it's how Georgia has stopped it. It's how Alabama has stopped it. It's you get in that quarterback's face and you make his life, you make it a really, really, really bad day for Nico. Make it where he starts seeing ghosts. And like, what's his name? Quarterback for LSU. He was saying that Joe Burrow. He was saying that one of the toughest defenses he's ever went up against that confused him the most. I know he won the game. That he's Brent Venables' defense. Nobody's ever confused me like that guy did. And that offense was unstoppable, but Brent Venables kind of held water with them the first half. But he said that first half, he was really, really confused. That's Joe Burrow.
Right.
This is a Nico kid, a redshirt freshman. I feel a lot better about it. And I'm not saying I'm totally convinced we're going to win, dude. I'm propping this up right now because I'm an OU fan. I got Oklahoma tattooed on my arm. But what I'm saying is I feel a lot better about it now that Josh Heupel's coming in here with a redshirt freshman quarterback than I would if he was like having a 5-year senior or a guy like Hendon Hooker that had, played a lot of college football, been in a lot of road games. And so I feel a little better about it with it being a young quarterback.
Nico and Jackson Arnold both come in with the same class. So
right.
It's going to be sort of a showdown of classes in a way. But Killer wanted me to bring up some of the games this week. And I think Friday night we got Stanford at Syracuse. Syracuse is undefeated. Stanford's in the ACC now. That's why they're playing that game.
Wow.
But it's probably a who cares game of the week. But Illinois plays at Nebraska. Both these teams are undefeated. What do y'all think about Illinois and Nebraska?
Taking Nebraska all day.
Well, Nebraska is actually a 7.5-point favorite, which I guess isn't terribly surprising. It's not like Illinois is some powerhouse, but yeah, man, I would love to see Nebraska pull this one off. So I tend to believe that's what'll happen.
I normally wouldn't bring this game up because it's just two teams that nobody cares about, but Indiana and Charlotte last week, one of my lock picks was Indiana beating UCLA on the road, and they did it. So Indiana's 3-0 3-0 now, quietly. They're sneaking up in the Big Ten. So y'all keep an eye on Indiana.
What about Tebow on the road in Michigan? Michigan.
Well,
Where's 1989M? 1989M. Where you at, dog? I haven't seen you in the comments.
He was in there. He was in there earlier. We'll go ahead and talk about that game now if you want to. USC is playing on the road at Michigan. So Michigan hasn't looked good all year. They lost everything. All their players, their entire coaching staff, everybody's gone, man. Yeah, I haven't seen this much turnover in one team, especially a defending national champion, since I've been watching football. That's a huge turnover. I mean, they lost their entire staff just about and all their players. And they barely beat Arkansas State last week, 28-18.
That's right.
So I hope I'm dead wrong, but I'm going to take USC. I'm going to take them with the point spread. I'm going to pick them on my parlay card. I hope I'm wrong. If I lose, I'll be happy about it because I don't like USC, and I don't like Lincoln Riley.
It's only 5.5 points,
and they're going to cover it. They're playing right, and they're playing whatever's left of Michigan. It's basically USC versus the Michigan logo, and whatever's left. From
Michigan is starting a new quarterback. They're starting a new quarterback this week.
Yeah, and that's a good point. That is a great point because I was watching one USC podcast and they were saying, all right, Keeley's Hill is running quarterbacks. And they are like, dude, we always have trouble with running quarterbacks. And I guess the guy that Michigan's going to be playing is a running quarterback. But, I mean, a lot of teams have trouble with running quarterbacks. Especially a guy that can run and throw. I know my Sooners have. And I know Alabama, they've had trouble. A lot of guys have had trouble with – so that's not just a USC problem. That's a lot of people problem. But I'm taking USC. I'm betting against Michigan every week on my parlay card until they actually beat me. Because so far I've bet against Michigan every week and I've won. So until they beat me, I'm going to keep betting against Michigan.
I know they didn't cover against Arkansas State for sure.
They are a 5.5 point underdog at home, Michigan.
Wasn't they 7 points to Texas?
Yep.
Yeah, 7.5.
The thing is, they got all these games at home, and they just ain't getting it done, man.
I'm telling you.
I've actually only lost one game, so if they could somehow bring in this new quarterback and give them some kind of spark, I mean, I'm going to be rooting for Michigan all day long. But I'm just like you. I think USC will probably win this game by about 10 points.
Yep. Yeah, I agree too, man. I'll be rooting for Michigan. Don't get me wrong. I'm damn sure not going to root for USC. But I bet if I'm just betting my money on it, I got to go with USC. I think USC could end up beating them by 10 points, maybe 14 points. I mean,
we don't know. We don't know how good they are because how good is that LSU win at this point?
Yeah, I know, right? LSU struggled.
That is true.
Even Nicholls State.
That is true.
You asked for 1989M, and there he is. He says, I'm here, brothers. Wolverines in a gut check game right off rip. I can barely watch at this point. How those seasons go. I remember the Mike Shula years at Alabama. That's what Sharon is. Sharon is y'all's Mike Shula, man. Y'all shouldn't have hired him, just like we shouldn't have hired Mike Shula.
Y'all hated Mike Shula that bad?
Yes. I liked him as a player. I mean, he done some good stuff as a player at Alabama. He was a quarterback here in the 80s. But as far as a coach, he was very much lacking.
Who was the guy that came from Washington State that was there for like 2 days when he got drunk at the strip club?
Well, he was actually here about 2 months. But, yeah, I get what you're saying.
He got drunk at a strip club or something.
Yeah,
and what was his – Mike Price.
Price. Yep, Mike Price.
Yeah, Mike Price.
And, were you happy about that hire before he went, fell off a deep end in a strip club?
No, because he didn't have no defense, man. He was running that air raid type offense too out of Washington State, man. There's no defense involved. I don't mind having a prolific offense, but you got to have a little modicum of a defense. And I think Lincoln Riley's finally learning that.
Was that the ghost of Bear Bryant that made that happen so that y'all didn't get ruined by Mike Price? Did the ghost of Bear Bryant lure him into that strip club?
Well, I think the ghost of Bear, if he did that, man, he fucked us anyway because he gave us Mike Shula. So.
And Franchione's old punk ass.
Remember what he done? He was in there and he was using the university card to pay for everything, and he left them damn strippers. He left them in his hotel room, and they got his damn university card and ordered a bunch of damn room service. And then, of course, the strippers got kicked out, and they told on him. They said he was in there saying, "Oh, it's rolling, baby, it's rolling." It's like,
this is the first time I've heard it.
It's rolling, baby, it's rolling.
That's great.
This is the first time I've heard the story on that whole deal, and I remember Mike Price. I remember him being Washington State because OU played Washington State after the 2002 season. Going in, it was the 2002 season out of Washington State, and they said, okay, so they asked them a certain question. They said, so if it's who's calling the play? And they both pointed. They said, you are. And Mike Price pointed at the new coach, and the new coach pointed at Mike Price. And yeah, I remembered that he was going to Alabama, and then all of a sudden, them titties got him, man.
The strip bar. It was in Pensacola. It was in Pensacola, Florida. And the strip bar, actually, after that happened, they put a new advertisement on the billboard and said home of the $10 million lap dance because they screwed that guy got screwed out of a $10 million contract over some lap dances.
Damn. That's bad.
Hey, how about the Utah Utes going into Stillwater as 1-point favorites against the Cowboys?
I'd take Utah if Cam Rising is definitely going to play, and I know I have a hard time believing he's not. But how healthy is he? Is my whole thing. You know, like, are we getting a Cam Rising at 60%, or is he like 80%? You know, if he's even 80%, I would take Utah all day on that.
It's going to be interesting to see, man. For some reason, I just have this gut feeling that somehow Oklahoma State's going to come from behind and win that game close.
Well, they should have lost that game to Arkansas, but they won. Well, what can you say? They won. So Utah, they ain't really looked that great this year, have they?
They haven't. That's what I was actually about to say. You know, Whittingham is always considered. What's that?
How many games has Cam Rising been out? How many games has he been out?
Oh, I thought he's been playing.
Okay, because I was going to say, if he's been playing, they still look like shit. I mean, is it really going to matter?
But they are 3-0. They haven't lost yet, but they've been ugly wins.
Right.
They beat Baylor, right?
Yes.
Of course, Baylor ain't really that good, so I don't know how good Utah is. If the game was in Utah, I think this is where the home field advantage might be the deciding factor.
So you take OSU in the points?
I'd probably take Oklahoma State.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think you're wrong either way on this one, man. And Cam Rising has not looked the same like this. I've been watching him, and when he beat USC, and I watched him, like, I've been a fan of Cam Rising, man. But yeah, he's definitely not looked the same at all, and I don't think he's definitely not 80. He may not even play, and then my biggest concern is if he don't play. The guy they got behind him is Wilson's little brother.
Yeah.
And I think he's a true freshman or a redshirt, right? He may be a true freshman. And I know if you ask a Utah fan, they're like, oh, he's got all the tools. He can make all the throws. It sounds like us talking about Jackson Arnold, Spencer Rattler, Rhett Bomar, yeah, they can make all the throws, but you put them out there and they ain't never played this level of football. And it just don't quite usually work that way in the beginning of the year of their true freshman season. I could see Oklahoma State, and I'll tell you one thing, dude. OSU, when I don't bet on them, they kill it. And then when I do bet on them, they have a clunker like they did against UCF and South Florida last year, or was it South Alabama? It was South Alabama, South Florida. But they're very, very inconsistent. I know they got like 20 starters returning from last year, which is why I bet on OSU against Arkansas, and I got lucky. I won that one, pure luck, not for anything else. It was because of pure luck. But the reason why I took OSU is because they're at home. They got like 19 or 20 starters returning from last year, and I felt like they were going to smash Arkansas by at least 17, 14 points, and yeah, they had, it was a 7-point spread and I barely won it by 1 point. So on one hand, I'm like, man, do I trust OSU to bet on them? And against Utah, I do, but that Cam Rising, if he goes off, I know he's good, but I just don't think he's healthy right now. I don't think he's 100%.
He may not be. I'm with Larry here. I'm pulling. I didn't think about the fact that when is the last time that there's been 2 ranked teams playing on Saturday in Lincoln? It's got to be a while, right?
Especially with it being Illinois. Usually Illinois ain't ranked, so.
That's true. That's an even better point.
Now, I'm rooting for Brett Bielema. I don't know. For some reason, I've always liked Brett Bielema, man. I don't know what it is about him, but.
All right.
I'd like to see him succeed. But I don't know if I want to root for him against Nebraska, because I like Nebraska too.
I do too, man.
So if it comes down to who I like, I want to see Nebraska win. Who I think's going to win is probably Nebraska too, just because it's in Lincoln.
Wasn't Bielema at Arkansas?
He was. He was at Wisconsin too. So, but he had
I forgot about that.
He had a pretty good record at Wisconsin. He just couldn't get along with Barry Alvarez. Him and Barry Alvarez butting heads. Barry was meddling like that dude at Tennessee, Phil Fulmer, always meddling and shit. So
I was thinking the same thing. Thunder, sounds like Johnny needs to put a bet on Oklahoma State so they'll lose.
He's already figured me out, man. I don't do that every week, but from time to time, man, I will put a bet on the other team just so OU will win, because I'm only good at going to work and earning my money. I'm really, really, really shitty at winning free money. So if I put money on the other team, like, one thing has to give, and me winning free money doesn't happen. So if I put the money on the other team, OU's going to win. So if I bet on Tennessee, OU's going to win. I'm telling you that right now. I'm not going to win free money. It just don't work that way. I don't win free money. So that's why I do it.
Bet $1 on Oklahoma then. I mean, on Tennessee.
So
yes.
It's just 1.5 points, right?
No, it's the OU game?
Yeah, I got to give up like 6 or 7, I think.
It's no, you don't have to. It's pretty close now, actually. Hold on a second.
What's the spread? What's the spread on Oklahoma State?
Oh, you're talking about Oklahoma State. I was talking about OU Tennessee.
Oklahoma State is, what is it, 1.5 for Oklahoma State?
Yeah,
1. It's 1.
For Oklahoma
it's
State.
only 1. Yeah.
Utah's favored by 1.
Yes.
Okay, so it's basically a pick 'em.
Pretty much.
Point, right?
Pretty much.
Yep.
Larry Trowicki wants to know what you guys think of Cam Ward at Miami.
He's been playing good.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to find out. That's one of the games I'm curious about. Also,
South Florida give us a hard time, so I'd like to watch that game myself to measure my team against Miami.
It should be a good. Hopefully, it's a good game.
I hope South Florida beats their ass.
Me too. Me too, dude. I'm so torn. I think college football is better when Miami's good, but I hate Miami, dude. I hate Miami so much.
What do y'all think about UCLA at LSU? You think LSU's going to blow those guys out?
Man,
LSU
I
and
forget
who?
their UCLA.
UCLA.
Oh, yeah, UCLA. That's right.
Are they really playing them? I didn't even see that.
Yeah,
Yep.
they are.
UCLA at LSU, but UCLA has been pretty bad. I mean, they got beat by Indiana. They're not very good.
So
And
this
that
is a
coach
toilet bowl.
That coach of theirs is an idiot.
Yeah, he is. I would go with LSU on this. If I'm just picking teams on a parlay card, I would take LSU.
Yeah, I think LSU's got a
I
lot
know,
of
man. They've
pent-up
struggled.
frustration.
They've struggled this year.
No, I know they have, but I don't know if they've got. I don't know if they're struggling the way UCLA. UCLA is kind of in a. I mean, they've hired a new coach. They've lost Chip Kelly. If it was UCLA of last year, where they had that D and Tone guy, the D coordinator at USC, and they had Chip Kelly, and it's also at LSU. Everything in my gut's pointing towards LSU. I'd pick them. I don't know what the point spread is on it yet, though. I haven't looked at my card.
LSU's got a lot of pent-up frustrations too, because they've been struggling this year. They may take it out on UCLA.
That's the what I'm getting at. I really think that UCLA, that's the punching bag that they're going to take their frustrations out on. I really do.
UCLA's got a big name, but they're not really that good this year, so it'd probably help LSU's confidence too.
LSU is a 24-point favorite.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I knew it had to have been pretty big. I didn't know it'd be that big though. Wow.
It wouldn't surprise me if LSU beat them by 38-7 or something.
Right.
Here's how bad Mississippi State is. Florida is a 6-point favorite on the road.
And Florida sucks.
Wow. And Florida sucks.
On the road, they are favored by 6 against Mississippi State. How about that? It looks like Jeff Levy's having a rough start.
Well, you know, Toledo went into Starksville and beat them by 28.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He's having a rough start.
Yeah, I figured he would, man. That program's in disarray down there. It was left in a bad way. Mike Leach died, and then they hired that guy for one fucking season and got rid of him. See, these colleges, man, they just go through these coaches, and it's just like the whole Florida situation. They're fixing to fire Billy Napier. They fired Dan Mullen, and he'd had just one bad season. Dan Mullen took them to the SEC title game and had numerous double-digit win seasons, I think. He has one bad season, and they fired him.
Right.
And now
I can't stand that.
They shouldn't have fired Dan Mullen to begin with.
I agree. I would have kept him too.
You could argue that's what Nebraska made their first mistake years ago when they got rid of Frank Solich.
That's right.
Yeah.
Frank Solich went over to have a great career with Ohio Bobcats. Yeah, they win the MAC every single year, just about.
He was clearly a good coach. I think they fired him because he had the audacity to only win 9 games one year.
That son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I actually thought Bo Pelini was going to work out there, man.
I did too.
Especially when they had Ndamukong Suh, man, and those guys, man, they looked like they were on the upswing.
There was something about Bo that just wasn't. He just didn't have it all together as a coach, man. He just never seemed to have it all together.
Well, he's sort of like Will Muschamp, man. He loses damn shit, man. Just go ballistic, man. I ain't talking about like Nick Saban throwing a fit. I'm talking about this dude looked like he was really going to kill somebody.
Yeah, look, they got the crazy look and they got crazy eyes. Crazy eyes, man.
Crazy eyes.
Man, his damn veins be like this freaking big in his neck, man. He's chasing that referee off the field. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, man. Crazy eyes is not a good thing. A coach can't have crazy eyes. Our defensive linemen, they can have crazy eyes, but not the coach. We need him to have
that Miami game's at South Florida. It's in Tampa. So
hey, what about Vanderbilt? Do they have any chance on the road against Missouri?
Well, they hadn't lost to Georgia State, maybe. They lost to Georgia State.
Who did they play well though? They had a good win already this year though, didn't
Virginia
they?
Tech.
Yeah, that was
Virginia. Yeah, Virginia Tech. Man, I would love to see them at least like be in a dogfight with Missouri. That would be great. I'd love to see it.
I like to see them in a dogfight with Texas when Texas has their first road game.
They got a good record against Texas. That's what I've heard.
We're gonna see what happens with Arch Manning behind the line.
Yeah,
now.
Quinn Ewers, is he going to make it back for this game against Monroe or no?
Doesn't look like it.
How long is he going to be out, man? I've heard a couple weeks, then I heard he was out for a while, and then I heard 1 week.
He gets
Have
hurt
y'all heard
every
anything?
year.
He does. That's right. Yes.
I think it's all according to how good Eli Manning. Oh, not Eli Manning. Shit. It's all it's good how Arch Manning plays. If Arch Manning plays well, they may let him sit on the bench for a little while. I don't know.
Well, who does Texas play this weekend?
Monroe.
Oh, is that who it is?
Play Louisiana Monroe. Now, Louisiana Monroe's undefeated, but
for now,
they're not starting conference play yet.
Now, if La Monroe were to pull that shit, they pulled in Northern Illinois. Like Northern Illinois did Notre Dame, that would be the upset of the year.
Yes. Anything could happen, but yeah, I know.
Texas played Vanderbilt on the road in Nashville. I think that's their first SEC road game. Texas, man, someone did them a huge solid, man.
They did.
See, dude, this is what happens for Texas. You're gonna learn soon enough.
Yeah,
you're gonna learn soon enough.
Since day one.
I'm telling you, dude.
I'm like, man, look at that schedule. They got Mississippi State is their first game in the SEC, who sucks, and then they got Vanderbilt as their first road game in the SEC, and then they play Kentucky, who are usually three dregs of the SEC, man.
Right.
Oh, no. It keeps getting worse from there. They play Oklahoma and Georgia. That's the toughest two games, and then it's ridiculous at the end of the year too.
Well, they get Georgia at home, so they ain't even got to go on the road to Athens, man. They got Georgia in Austin,
and then they get OU on a neutral. And somebody was saying they took OU on a neutral, Georgia at home, and then the other 6 games are the 3 worst SEC teams in the East, and then the 3 worst in the West.
That's what I'm saying.
But you think there was some favoritism to Georgia since Georgia's won 2 national titles here in the last 3 years. They put the screws to Georgia. Everybody talking about how bad Florida's schedule is. Georgia's got a hell of a schedule.
Dude, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You don't understand. Texas is now going to be the darling of the SEC. They are the best. They are the biggest brand in the best football conference in America. You think for 1 second this is just going to be just like Kamala Harris all over again? The media is going to be in on it. They're all going to be talking bullshit, and you're not going to know what's the truth. You're never going to be able to get the truth. Like, that's what's coming. You think this is hyperbole, and I'm speaking truth. People in the chat, would you please tell this man what I am trying to say? Texas gets there. You know what? Slide on everywhere they go.
They thought they was going to get that horns down penalty implemented, but that shit didn't fly.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was the SEC going, here you go. We'll make it look like we're going to come out hard against y'all. And then we'll take care of you on the schedule. And
the first SEC games against Mississippi State, who lost to Toledo by 28. In the first road game, we're going to make you go to Nashville because we know that's a hard place to play.
Yeah, real hard. It's ridiculous, man. But it's just not. But my point is, it's not just an anomaly this year. You think it's going to stop this year? No, it's not. They're going to take care of them every single year. It never stops. And you just got to learn to roll with it. Like we did. We just started kicking their ass anyway. That's how we handled it. We all do the same thing.
We sort of did that. I mean, we did go to Austin and win when we played there. So
yeah. Well, like I said, I don't have any doubt that Alabama will figure it out. But you're going to get real tired of it. It'll be good motivation for you all the time because it's sickening how biased the media is for Texas and how badly they want Texas, the king of high school football. It's the story, that's what they want. It's the narrative that they want.
They moved the SEC media days to Dallas, Texas. First year Texas.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly
You know
what
what
I'm
they,
saying.
you know what they said to sort of deflect on it? They're like, well, actually, Dallas is closer to Norman than it is to Austin.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So they're catering to us. Okay.
That's right. They're catering to y'all, man. Goddamn
All
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Them dang Sooners, y'all get all the breaks.
Like, I mean, again, it's fine because we're used to it, and I knew I was hoping it would change in the SEC, but I saw right away. Well, I mean, as soon as they held SEC, you bring that up. As soon as they held SEC Media Day in Dallas, I was like, oh, there you go. Here's where it starts. Watch how much stuff ends up happening in Dallas now instead of Atlanta and Alabama. You watch. It's going to be a lot of stuff going on in Dallas.
Yeah,
And
and watch how many holding calls that Georgia has when they play Texas. Just look and see how many times Georgia gets called for holding against Texas. I'm just telling you right now.
Hines 57A, I think, is converting to be a Texas fan. He says, you guys won in Austin, however, yours got knocked out in the first quarter. Just like Colt McCoy, left the first quarter in the championship game, and that was the reason we beat them in the national championship. But Texas people always got an excuse, right?
Yep, they do. They never get beat. It's always the refs. It's always injured player. It's never that they just got beat.
But you got to understand, man. You know how much practice they have at having to come up with excuses on why they're terrible? I mean, these guys are professionals. They've been having to come up with reasons why they're mediocre, considering all of the resources and money and players and support. Like, they got to have reasons, and they've been coming up with them since the beginning of time. So, yeah, they're pretty creative, and they're pretty good at blaming everything else besides. But I will say this. I'll give credit where credit is due. As much as it pains me to say this, I've been impressed with Texas so far. Now, can
you're right.
All year long? I don't know.
You're right. I agree. You're saying the same thing I've been saying. I got a buddy that's a Texas fan I work with. Every day I see him, I say, hey, there's my guy, the only Texas fan I like. He's my guy. His name is Paco. But I've been telling him, like, dude, I ain't going to lie, dude, you guys look really good this year. And, they do. So far, they look good, We'll see what happens over the next few weeks. I mean, they do got to play the bottom three feeders of the SEC in the East and the bottom three feeders of the SEC in the West from last year's standings. But we'll see what happens when they play Oklahoma and they play Georgia. And did y'all say they got to play Tennessee? Or they got to play?
They don't play Tennessee this year.
They play A&M. They play Georgia. They play OU. And then other than those three, and A&M's only a game that they could lose because it's a rivalry game, But yeah, we'll see what happens with them. But Arch Manning is, as bad as I hate to say it, and I know a lot of OU fans, he's only a 5-star because of his last name, and he really ain't that good. He looks pretty damn good. Arch Manning looks pretty good, as bad as I hate to admit it.
Ryan Kirk said that you just need to remind Texas of their record against Oklahoma in the last 24 years.
17-8.
Texas plays A&M, Kentucky, Arkansas, Florida, Vanderbilt, and Mississippi State.
Oh, God.
Now, to their defense, they probably thought Florida was going to be decent.
Maybe. I mean, I guess.
I don't know. They had just as much reason to believe that could be a nice gift, another gift. But it's always Christmas for Texas.
Hines 57A says, damn you, Jesse, for saying I'm a Texas fan. I'll have to drive to Alabama and stick my foot between your cheeks. Well, you the one in here taking up for them. Oh, y'all beat them without Quinn Ewers and Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy, by the way, could have played in that game. His daddy went in the locker room and told him he advised him against playing because he didn't want to hurt his NFL career. Colt McCoy could have played in that game. He wasn't that banged up. He was sitting on the sidelines, though. He looked perfectly fine to me. But, just like I said, I just never seen an Oklahoma fan come in here and make excuses for Texas. So I figured you was in the transfer portal or something.
Right.
And 57A is officially in the transfer portal for the long turds.
Hey, be honest, Killer Breeze. Do you think Texas would have had a chance against Alabama if Colt McCoy doesn't get hurt in that game?
Yeah, they had a chance, but
I think they would have had a chance.
That doesn't mean they would have won, though. I mean,
Nick Saban actually said that quarterback they brought in started driving the ball on the second half because we didn't prepare for him or something.
Yeah.
We wasn't prepared for that shit. They almost come back and won that game.
Colt won a lot of games that he had no business winning.
Yeah, Nebraska.
You know, he was good. He was a good college quarterback.
Didn't they add a second back on the clock in that Nebraska game for them to beat Nebraska and the Dominican Sue?
They did.
The Dominican
Sue threw him around like a rag doll, dude.
Right.
I almost felt bad in the game.
Right, me too. If I'm being completely honest, I think Alabama would have still won the game. And the pressure that they got on Garrett, who was that kid? Garrett freaking the guy that come in for Colt McCoy. It was Garrett something. He was like a 5-star #1 quarterback. Garrett.
His first and last name started with the same letter.
It may have, yes. It was Garrett. Something Garrett was in there, man.
You asked and you shall receive. Killer Breeze. You asked and you shall receive. Here they are. You asked for them. Here they are. Here they come.
Who?
Tennessee fans. Here they come. OU is trash. Vols by 50. A bunch of
Power T. Kiss my ass, Power T.
Let's put $100 on that, bro. You Vols by $50, by 50 points. Let's put $50 on it, dude, and I'll give you 28 points.
Hey, Power T, why don't you do us a favor and bring some Tennessee fans in here? Let's get this shit on.
Tennessee fans want no piece of this. Tennessee fans want no piece of this.
Bring them in here, man. Link us out. Link us out right now. Let's get this fight going. Let's get this fight going right now. I'll just sit back and watch, man. I like to light the fire and watch that shit blow up, and I just sit back and watch my art.
Power T ain't got shit. Power T can't do nothing. He ain't bringing no Vol fans up in here. There's a bunch of
bring the Vol fans in. Come on, where they at?
A bunch of Tennessee pussies is what they are.
Yeah, I mean, we got 7 Heisman, 7 national titles. They got
none.
But they do got a big ass stadium.
Title. What is it? 1 national title in '96 with T. Martin. They don't have no Heisman Trophy winners.
They cheated to do that, man. There's the damn money trail on T. Martin to Mobile.
Through
Western Union. They got paid to play, and then they set us up and did a quid pro quo and put us on probation, assholes.
Yeah. Come on, Power T.
Melvin Glover says, don't help if there's 2 Tennessee DBs out when Jackson Arnold can't make the read.
So there's 2 DBs out? So y'all got guys out too, huh? We didn't know that.
They got a white safety. I haven't seen a white safety in a long time, dude.
We're smoking his ass.
Y'all start white boys. Y'all can't start white boys at safety.
No.
Y'all got white cornerbacks too?
What is it, 1992? You can't start a white safety.
They haven't had starting corners and safeties since
that's like getting a white guard to guard. That's like getting a white basketball player to guard Larry Bird, man. You can't do that.
He takes that personally.
Remember Larry Bird saying that shit? He told me, "I got this white boy on me."
That's what I'm saying. He takes it personally.
Right.
Made him upset.
He said he's gonna take your bet, man.
Come on, Power T.
$50 and you're gonna give me 20 points. You said 50 points. I'm even being nice. Power T, do y'all know this guy personally where I could actually get my money out of him?
Probably not.
Who said that?
I don't know him. He's saying that shit because he knows he's not gonna pay up.
Right.
Who is this?
I'll actually pay. I'll actually pay up.
Look, Power T, drop your information in here, your Facebook or your Twitter account, and we'll set this bed up, and I'll screenshot that shit. And then if you don't pay up, we're gonna hunt your ass down.
Yeah. Because I'll pay him the $50. He said 50 points. And I said, would you bet on that?
Now. He's giving you 30 now. That's what he said he's giving now. I mean,
He
30
said he'll
is
give 30.
more than 4 times the line.
Yeah, so he's already lowered at 20 points. I think you might you're probably drinking too much, and you might need to eat a sandwich, chill for a minute, maybe think about it. He said,
30.
I'll give you 30. I'll take it. Done deal. Done deal.
All right, give us your Twitter account or something. Don't make no bullshit up now. We'll get the posse out.
He says
We got the posse in here. We'll hunt your ass down now.
Where are you coming from, Power T? Where are you coming from to end up in Oklahoma on Saturday night? Are you coming from Texas? Where are you coming from?
Hey, man, bring some more Tennessee fans there, man. Is all you got is one Tennessee fan? Really, got all that? There was a Tennessee guy in here the other day, but he done.
I mean,
he said he'll be here Saturday.
Being a Tennessee fan, I wouldn't. Would you? You would admit to being a Tennessee fan? There might be plenty of them in here, but none of them would admit to it.
I tell you how oblivious some Tennessee fans are. Now, I know some good Tennessee people, but most of them are oblivious, man. This one guy tells me, I'm there talking, and he's like, you're just mad because we beat y'all 2 years ago in Knoxville. I'm like, man, we beat y'all last year. And we beat y'all 16 out of the last 17 times. You tell me who's emasculated here. That'd be Tennessee.
Right.
Y'all beat us about as often as Vanderbilt does.
Maybe not as much.
Hey, Power T, so you're coming to Norman this Saturday. You're a Tennessee fan. Was you here when y'all played us last time in 2014? Because I really want to know. Did you come pay us a visit back then when y'all got beat? What was that one? 34 to 10? I don't remember
who won that game. Oh, we won that game. That's right.
35 to 10 or 34 to 10 is what that one was.
If Tennessee has 2 defensive backs out, what's going to be messed up is if Oklahoma blows them out.
I know. I didn't even know they had any.
I have to change my pick, man. I think I'm going to change mine. I think I'm going to take Oklahoma.
Hey.
Oklahoma 41, Tennessee 17.
Hey, Ryan Kirk. Hey, Ryan Kirk in the chat room says, I know how to get rid of him. Watch this. Butch Jones.
Who said that?
God.
Ryan Kirk.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
That was pretty good.
Butch Jones almost pulled the upset in the big house. I think Butch Jones would have been all right if y'all had to run him off. Y'all let Phil Fulmer get in there behind the scenes, messing everything up. Y'all could have had Mike Leach, but you let Phil Fulmer stick that knife in the AD's back while he was out in L.A. trying to get Mike Leach.
Philip Fulmer was a dumbass.
And then y'all had a chance to get Greg Schiano, and you had a bunch of idiots go draw shit on a rock like a bunch of cavemen. They got a damn rock up there to draw on. Basically tell them that they're going to just revolt if they hire Greg Schiano, who's won at Rutgers now twice at Rutgers. Power T wants to know if y'all are in the SEC now. Yeah, I believe Oklahoma's in the SEC now. That's why they're playing y'all. If it wasn't for that, they probably wouldn't be playing y'all. I know you're being sarcastic, probably, but hey. Rodney Dawkins says, I hope the Tennessee-Oklahoma game is going to be the kind of game they sweep up the broken beer bottles and teeth and eyeballs off the field after the game. They do that at Tennessee anyway, because when Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss went up there and whooped their ass, they started throwing mustard bottles and golf balls out the stadium. Who brings a golf ball to the football stadium without ill intentions? What's your thought process, Killer Breeze, when you put a golf ball, you take a golf ball and you put it in your pocket and take it to a football game? What are you thinking? You're thinking, I'm going to throw this at somebody.
Typical ball whackers.
There's only one reason why you're doing that. You're planning on trying to trying to hurt somebody at some
Yeah,
point.
and that's what I'm talking about. Even if Tennessee, and see, they didn't know whether Tennessee was going to lose or win before the game, so they took the golf ball without knowing who's going to win the game. They're going to throw the golf ball regardless.
Yeah.
Because that's the way Tennessee fans are.
Yeah, that's pretty weak. That's pretty weak.
Lane Kiffin picked that golf ball up, by the way, and he stuck it in his pocket. And he held on to it until Ole Miss played Tennessee in a baseball game, and he went out and threw the first pitch with that golf ball.
Oh, really?
Lane Kiffin, boy. He stuck
That's
to Tennessee more than once. Not only did he leave Tennessee after 1 year to go coach USC, then he come to Alabama's offensive coordinator and beat their ass every year he played them. They gotta hate Lane Kiffin.
Oh, yeah.
Now he beat them with Ole Miss.
Calvin Glover says Tennessee's starting left tackle is questionable.
Man, they're piling up all of a sudden. I think I'm hearing a bunch of excuses from them all of a sudden. I didn't even know they had all these players out. I thought we were the one that had all the players out.
They know what's up.
I may have to change my parlay card, man. I was going to take Tennessee on that parlay card at least.
Jesse, what is your prediction of the Tennessee-Oklahoma game?
I just told you.
Yeah.
41-17.
41-17?
Oklahoma.
Oh, I hope you're right.
I missed
God. Dude,
I
if
said earlier, I thought maybe, if y'all had the ball at the last, if Tennessee had the ball last, it'd be interesting to see if Nico can handle that pressure.
Yeah.
It would surprise me if the game ended up like y'all said, about 34-30. But now that Tennessee's got these offensive linemen out, that may change things a little bit. Oklahoma might not just upset. They might win this game by a couple of scores.
Well, I don't know if you saw the end of the Oklahoma game. I think Alabama might have been playing. No, I think Alabama played before that. Anyway, they one of their ends had to finish the game strong with 3 consecutive sacks and a forced fumble and recovery. And so this is going to be a huge test, and maybe if some of these tackles and some of these linemen are out for Tennessee, maybe Oklahoma has their best game on the defensive line all year.
True.
If that happens, then anything is possible.
Terry Sleuth says Venables said the left tackle is their best player. Somebody trying to call me.
Well, I hope he's out. I hope he's okay, but I hope he's out. I hope he goes on to play every other game of the season and do well, and I hope he's out on Saturday.
Michael McCullough just tried to call me on Facebook. If you got something you want to say, brother, just say it in here. Put it in the comment section. I'll read it out.
Who is it?
Michael McCullough.
Did you hear what Josh Heupel was saying? He was saying, "Well, I hope out of respect for me and the program, I hope the Oklahoma fans are quiet, when we're on the field." And I mean, I know he was being sarcastic,
Yeah.
But I feel the other way around. I feel like maybe I feel like hopefully Josh Heupel ain't out for blood for us. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I'm still blown. It's honestly, man, this is a weird thing I've never had to deal with. It's still going to be weird to me seeing Josh Heupel on the opposing sideline as an enemy going against us, a guy trying to beat us.
I haven't really thought about it.
Well, I didn't
It's
really know.
weird to me.
I knew he was a quarterback for y'all, but I didn't know he was the one that quarterbacked the national title game.
Yeah.
Yes. And
So
Coach Sam
Well, he was
Bradford
he was also the first QB with Bob. He was Bob Stoops' first big recruit. Bob Stoops says he's the most important recruit he's ever had. So he was the first year, when Bob Stoops started, he was the quarterback that year too. So man, he was kind of one of the focal points of the thing turning around like it did. I was at that Nebraska game that year when Nebraska was ranked number 1 and Oklahoma was ranked number 2 and number 3 in the coaches, and it was awesome, dude. And Josh Heupel was the QB, so he's huge. He's huge.
Well, according to Calvin Glover, he's really huge now. He said 24 years and 75 pounds ago.
I mean, yeah, we remember him as that skinny quarterback that people said wasn't big enough for the NFL. He's plenty big now, but he was a big deal, dude. He kick-started this whole deal. He shattered all the records, passing records, because we hadn't really thrown the ball until he had gotten here, and he really set the bar. And then, after him, you had Nate Heupel for a little bit, but you had Jason White, and then he was the guy who also coached Sam Bradford. I think he was the quarterback coach when Kevin Wilson was the offensive coordinator, and then after Kevin left, Josh took over. And I know it sounds like a broken record, but what really happened with Josh Heupel is we had a lot of injuries that year, and Josh wasn't the coach, in 2014 that he is now in 2024, but he had a lot of injuries, and kind of similar to what Seth Luttrell's been dealing with these first 3 games. I mean, we had a lot of injuries. And I want to say our quarterback was out. And we had a guy that was I would equate him to Davis Bevel. Do you remember that guy we had in 2014, Cody Thompson or Cody Thomas? Remember
Yes.
that guy? I mean, how many OU fans can even remember Cody Thomas? That's how irrelevant that this guy was. Cody Thomas was the damn quarterback against OSU, and we barely lost because we punted the ball to Tyreek Hill twice. Which that wasn't Josh Heupel's fault, that we punted the ball to Tyreek Hill 2 times. But there were some games where it was kind of tough luck. And I think wasn't we missing Sterling Shepard? Trevor Knight wasn't in. Was it Trey Miller that was like a big player? He wasn't. I mean, we had a lot of guys that were hurt. And Josh Heupel kind of was the scapegoat. I see why some people say that, man, But on the other hand, there was a number of years where Bob Stoops didn't look like he was wrong for doing it because we were really, 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 really good on offense after we got rid of him. So it wasn't like we fired Josh and then our offense sucked. You know what I mean? So
I think here's my take on the whole thing. Like, man, no matter what happened, whether you got scapegoated or not, you are now the head coach of the number 6 ranked team in the country at a major brand of the SEC and a great place to be a beloved coach. And that's what he is. And if he continues to win, he'll only get more and more popular. So my whole thing is, you still have salt in the wound? Like, it still hurts? Like, that's the part I don't understand. Like, at a certain point when your life is that good, man, you're holding on to things that it's just making your life harder and more difficult than it needs to be. Like, you won. Like, whether you got scapegoated or not, you clearly came out on top. So
the reason he might be slighted is because he was running the air raid that Lincoln Riley was allowed to run. When
I get it. I can see that.
He was forced to run that offense by Bob, and he took the blame for something that Bob decided to do.
Okay. Well, I don't know that happened, but let's just concede that it did. Even if it did, that's my point. Who cares at this point? Like, you are the head.
A lot of people out there do care because they've been bringing it up.
Now, you're the head coach of Tennessee. A lot of people are bringing it up just because this is the world we live in now. People just like to talk shit. So let's get that straight.
All right. And I agree with what you're saying, Killer Breeze. He landed on his feet. The dude, I mean, he ended up right away. He was able to get another job. Before I knew it, he was the head coach at UCF. And then before I knew it, He was the head coach at Tennessee, and I thought, wow, man, because when I was that kid that bought the Miami Dolphins jersey, I ordered it because I was convinced maybe he would be this guy that was overlooked like Tom Brady. I believed in Josh Heupel. My grandpa said, no, Johnny, he's not going to be an NFL football player, but he will have his best days in coaching. And my grandpa, before he died, he swore by that. He said, Josh Heupel will end up being a really good coach. He'll end up being a head coach. He might be the next Bob Stoops. And I specifically remember my grandpa telling me that before he passed away. And, man, my grandpa was right. Dude ended up being a really good coach, and he definitely did not make it in the NFL. But I always thought maybe he'd be our coach, but
So Josh was the offensive coordinator at Central Florida before Scott Frost left, right?
Yes.
I think so, right?
So
Yeah.
Scott Frost leaving and going to Nebraska directly led to Josh Heupel getting his chance.
Correct.
Yep.
If Scott Frost never leaves and goes to Nebraska, then Josh Heupel sort of fell into that Central Florida job. So he sort of had luck on his side with that. And then Central Florida's AD left and went to Tennessee, and everybody thought it was a lazy hire because the Central Florida AD went out and just hired the guy that he just hired. Instead of looking around, he went and grabbed Josh Heupel, and they thought it was a lazy hire.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
So he sort of looked into it. Everybody's on the Josh Heupel train now, but, he's not out of the woods yet with Tennessee because you know how fickle they are.
Well, I mean, he's had some, he still has to prove it too. Like they have not. They've been ranked highly before and had weapons, and they have not fulfilled, their potential yet either. So there's still a lot on the line for him.
They haven't won anything yet. They haven't won a division title. They don't have divisions anymore, so you can't win that anymore. And they haven't won the SEC title yet. So,
right. No, that's exactly right. So
that's surprising to me because, man, everything I've heard this week is like they're going to smoke Oklahoma. And, man, if OU's lucky, they just need to keep this close. And everything I've heard is they're like on Alabama and Georgia's level. That's everything I've heard this whole week.
Well, they said that when they had Hendon Hooker, too, and they just fizzled out.
Right.
I think Hendon Hooker got injured, though. So,
yeah.
I might have something to do with that. But California plays at Florida State this week. Is Florida State going to continue to be winless?
Hey, Cal gave, I can't remember who it was, but Cal gave somebody else a good game this year. They beat Auburn, right?
Yeah, they beat Auburn at Auburn.
So, who's to say they won't? What a good year for Cal if they end up beating Auburn and Florida State in the same year. How about that?
Their first year in the ACC.
Yeah. How about that, man? That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, why couldn't they?
I feel like Florida State is the first team to go from 14-0 and then trying to not go 0-12. I've never seen somebody do that, man.
It's kind of crazy, man. If they lose to Cal and start off 0-4, man, that's nuts. I mean, that's just nuts.
It is. You go from 0-14 or 14-0 to 0-4, and they're already 0-4 because they lost that bowl game. So they've already lost 4 games in a row since the.
People were talking about Norvell like he was, a top 3, top 5, maybe top 3 coach.
Yeah, they were talking about him coming to Alabama to replace Nick Saban.
That's right. Yeah.
How about that?
And
look at that.
Y'all dodge a bullet. Hey, y'all dodge a bullet on that. God.
Yes,
dang,
indeed.
Man.
How about that bullet? you went Neo in the Matrix on that one. You just
That's right. No. Fake Indians. Y'all can have all the Norvell you want. Bunch of fake ass Indians down there in the squaws wetting their diapers in the teepees.
That's awesome. But yeah, I don't know why Florida State would win that game, honestly. The more I think about it, like
Baylor plays at Colorado. Is Baylor win that game, or does Colorado get on a 2-game winning streak?
Ooh.
I think Colorado's terrible. I'm going with Baylor. What's the line?
I don't know. Y'all tell me.
I can find it.
What about you, Johnny John? Baylor and Colorado. Going to wait on the line?
Yeah. Let me see what the line is. Is it at Baylor?
That's it, Colorado.
It's at Colorado. Oh, I ain't gonna lie. I bet against Colorado last week, and then they won against Colorado State. But that's a terrible Colorado State team. This Baylor team, man. I know Baylor hasn't looked as. That coach sure has flamed out, man. There was the Baylor coach and the Iowa State coach have both kind of flamed out after being, USC almost hired Iowa State's coach. But anyway, yeah, Baylor, Colorado. I'm going to go with Baylor.
Colorado is favored by 1.5.
Ooh, it's a pick'em. Yeah, I'm going with Baylor.
Yeah, looks like a lot of people in the chat are going Baylor. Fred Bagley's taking Baylor.
I agree with Fred. It's only because I don't like Colorado. I don't like anything about it.
Yeah, it's hard for me to even if I thought Colorado was going to win, it'd be hard for me to put money on them because I hate them that bad.
Hell no.
Yeah.
I'd just rather take a loss money wise and just than to bet anything on con time.
All right. Yeah, I don't care for him at all.
Y'all think he's gone after this year, or you think he's going to stay here after his sons leave?
His sons are done this year, right?
I believe so.
He's out.
I do too. I think he is too.
You think someone's going to mess around and hire him? Because that's what Stephen A. Smith claims, that, if he got a better job, they're trying to blame it on Colorado, saying you can't win at Colorado. It sounds like Lincoln Riley 2.0. Can't win at Oklahoma. You can't recruit there. Can't win at Colorado. Even though they won a national title in the 90s with Bill McCartney and they had Eric Bieniemy and Cordell Stewart, you can't recruit there. You can't win at Colorado, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm never going to accuse Colorado to be being on the level of Georgia or Bama or Ohio State or even Oklahoma, but they can definitely win in the Big 12. They can definitely compete. They can do way better than what they're doing. That whole deal is ridiculous, man. And the fact that he won't do any in-home visits, like he's too good to do that, man, is crazy, man. It makes me think maybe he is gone after this year. And I don't know how good he is without Travis Hunter and his son anyway. Like, I mean, they won one game last year. They might win one or two without those two guys.
He's a dumbass.
He is a dumbass, and their fans are getting on my nerves too, man. They're arguing. There are fans that you'll randomly run across a Colorado fan that'll be like, dude, they're going 12-0, and you'll say, no, I don't think they are, dude. I mean, you might make it to a bowl game first before you talk about 12-0, and they'll say, I'll bet you $1,000. Well, dude, if I knew where you lived, I'd take your $1,000 for you're giving away free money.
I would agree.
There's just a segment of people out there that support this guy no matter what. It's almost like the Kamala Harris idiots. It's just I'm like, y'all can't see that stupid shit, man. It's just stupid shit right in front of you, and you continue to just support it, man. I don't get it.
I don't either, man.
It's just they like that thug mentality and that diva-esque the way he acts, man. It just some people like that shit, that giggly ghetto shit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, gets on my nerves.
Well, brother, I think I gotta run, man.
All right, brother.
But I appreciate you having me on, Johnny. It was good seeing you, man. Posse, take it easy tonight. And Jesse, I'll be in touch, man.
All right, we'll check you later.
Take it
Good
easy.
seeing you too.
That was Killer Breeze, the consummate Oklahoma booster, former roughneck.
I forget he was a foreign dude. I've always really liked Killer Breeze, man.
I've been wanting to have y'all on the show together. I think it's the
Yeah.
first time y'all been on together, right?
There may have been one other time, but it was when the very first time I came on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always really liked Killer Breeze, and I like. I mean, he's got good knowledge across the board, like all the conferences, all the teams, a lot like you do. And but yeah, I know. Like when he was arguing with that guy, there was one episode where he was arguing with a guy. It was who was it about? Was it Baker or Bob? It was Bob Stoops. And everything he said, I was like, yes. You know, I mean, everything he was saying was exactly what I was hoping somebody would say.
Yeah, that was Numbskull U. That was my Jerry Springer episode, man. I had Numbskull get on first, I think. I can't remember who was on first, but the other person had to sit there and listen to them talk, and it got Killer all riled up, I think. Finally, when I let Killer out of the pen, he's like a pit bull, man. He just come out.
He did good though, man. He did good. No, it was I remember it now. It was a TCU fan. That's what it was. Yeah, and he was trying to, and everything he was saying, man, it was just like, and I loved the way Killer Breeze had said, well, for starters, I've never heard any OU fans ever compare Bob Stoops to Nick Saban. And you know, also, it was really, really clear that this was a TCU fan who had gotten his ass whooped by OU. And I know all we did was win the Big 12, and I get it. The Big 12 was a really, 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 really easy conference to win, only if you're Oklahoma. It wasn't easy for Texas to win 14. It wasn't easy for Nebraska to win 14. It wasn't easy for Texas A&M to win 14. It was only easy for Oklahoma. So it's a really easy conference.
Exactly.
If you're Oklahoma, but not Texas or A&M or Nebraska.
Yeah. Well, that's what Killer Breeze told him. Killer Breeze said, well, if it's so damn easy, why didn't Texas win more?
Yeah.
Why didn't they?
Exactly. And they do get they do get catered to. And I'm starting to wonder, like with Texas, you know, they were in the Southwest. Oklahoma, we were in the Big 8. And then the Big 8 turned into the Big 12, and then we let Texas in. If we go to the SEC with Texas, and then all of a sudden something goes wrong where everybody starts getting pissed off at Texas, I think that's going to be that moment where we realize they are the problem. They pissed off the Southwest. They pissed off the Big 12. If they piss off the SEC, that's going to be that moment that we realize they are the problem.
Well, when we expanded the time before with Missouri and Texas A&M, and the Texas A&M fans don't like me to say this, but it's the truth. We didn't want Missouri and Texas A&M. We wanted Texas and Oklahoma back in 2012, and both of them cited different reasons. I think Oklahoma didn't want to leave Oklahoma State. That some of the people in the legislature there or something told them, hey, you know, I don't think it'd be a good idea if you leave Oklahoma State behind. Well, fast forward to now, it just got to be too obvious that Oklahoma and Texas were just pulling too much weight in that conference. So, and they end up having to leave.
Yeah, and that sounds about right. And I remember when it happened too. And I know OU probably didn't want to leave OSU, and maybe it was a deal where Texas didn't want to leave. I mean, I don't think they'd care about leaving TCU or Baylor, so maybe it was Tech. Maybe
it was
I
don't. It was Texas Tech. They were saying some of the same shit about Texas Tech.
Right.
People tend to change their minds when, you know, money starts becoming a real issue. Money was starting to become a real issue. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're going to be making a whole lot more money in the SEC.
And I've told Missouri this 1,000 times. They're talking a lot of shit about y'all. Missouri needs to thank Oklahoma and Texas for being in the SEC, because if one of those two had took the invitation back in 2012, fast forward to now, I don't think they invite Missouri at all.
No,
so
I don't either. Yeah, I don't either. And that's one thing I'll say about, even though y'all call him Auntie Louise. He had even said, whenever this first happened, he said, guys, listen, man, are they Alabama and Georgia? No. He said, but Oklahoma and Texas, this is definitely not A&M and Missouri coming to the SEC. He's like, this is a bigger deal than A&M and Missouri.
These are teams that's won national championships multiple times. Even going on further back to South Carolina and Arkansas, when we brought them in 92. Even those two teams don't have the cachet that Texas and Oklahoma get. Texas and Oklahoma ain't going to be, they're not going to be intimidated like that. You know what I'm saying?
And the SEC ain't going to be intimidated of us either. But, you know, he was just saying, you know, this isn't A&M and Missouri, guys. This is a little bigger than that. I ain't saying y'all should be scared, but I'm saying these guys are a little bigger than Missouri and A&M.
They are. Yeah. Historically speaking, they're much bigger.
Right. But hopefully, man, it's going to be great. And all these matchups that we're already getting, I cannot wait. I'm going to be down there, man. I can't wait for the game day crew. This right here. This reminds me of back when in the early 2000s, like game day crew. It used to not be a big deal like when game day would be in Norman. That used to be, oh yeah, that happens every year. Now this is a deal where it is a big deal to us now. It hasn't been this way the past 10 years. It hasn't been a given that game day crew is going to be in Norman.
Eco Jar said that there's some kind of noise coming through your mix. Sounds like it might be a fan, but it's not my fan. I think it's on Johnny John's and something's wrong with the mic.
It might be. Sounds like it might be. Yeah, I don't know. It might be mine. Do I sound kind of fuzzy?
That was like a rumbling sound, like maybe your mic's rubbing up against something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I know earlier.
It's not. I don't think it's my mic. I think it's coming from Johnny John's end.
Yeah, it might be. I know last time I was on, Derek told me that my audio didn't sound as good as yours. He said he must have a whole lot better mic than you got, man. Is what my brother told me.
All right, brother. I've been on here 2 hours and 12 minutes. I think I'm going to get up out of here.
Damn. Yeah, that's a pretty long time. All right, dude. Well, yeah, man, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait for this weekend.
All right, brother. Good luck. Roll Tide and Boomer Sooner.
Damn right. Roll Tide, Boomer Sooner.
All right, later, brother.
All right, take it easy, bro.
And that was Johnny Johns of the group Next Halen. Y'all need to check them out. Check out the Next Halen website. As you can see now, Eco Jar wasn't on my end. It was your brother Johnny Johns. Something was going on with his mic. As you can tell now, the sound's not being made. Calvin Glover says it kind of pisses me off. We have game day SEC debut as home dogs where we're likely to get our heads bashed in. Yeah, well, it was only because when I talked, I was probably meshing with his mic because as you can see now, there's no noise. Let's end it on a good note. Roll Tide and Boomer Sooner. So if y'all want to, just when I close this live stream down, it'll go to podcast. You can like, share, and comment on it there as well and share it out to your friends. We're going to get more people up in here. We're almost to 5,000 subscribers. That's a big milestone. If you can share it out to your brothers and sisters out there and get them to subscribe, that's free. But you can also join the Outlaw Posse if you want to get a random 4 Horsemen shout out as well as possibly the comment today. It's $2.99 a month, 75 cents a week. Just a half bottle of water, $2.99 a month. That's not much at all. It's just 75 cents. Come on. Y'all can give me a bottle of water. You get your badge, you'll be deputized. With that, I'm out of here. KMCA to all the other teams, classes now officially dismissed.